Sawate, this is Jeff. Our target for today is the Stray Demon, the boss at the end of the Undead Asylum. Well, when you go back there anyways. First thing I'm going to do is find some equipment we'll need. Now right here in Firelink Shrine, which is where we're starting. Pick up some cracked eye orbs. We won't be needing those. What we have here is a Morning Star and a Talisman. And they're free. You can get them. We'll be using the Morning Star on the boss. We're also going to pick up Oscar, this little guy here. He's gone hollow. Sad. He was so nice before. I'm going to pick up his shield by murdering him. The Crest Shield, which you get from Oscar right here, does 80% magic block. And since the boss will be fighting, the Stray Demon does a bunch of AoE bursts that are magic damage. This will be quite the boon. Start with my halberd. Get some tasty, tasty backstabs for Oscar. He was so nice to give his Estus flask. Stray Demon, the main strategy we'll be using on the Stray Demon is the Morning Star, which I've actually off screen here I upgraded to +3, although that's actually not too important. He has tons of health, and the weapon itself is not the important part. A Morning Star has a 300 bleed effect. You can see that if you look at under the stats for the weapon. What that means is that Oscar's died. Get his Crest Shield. All right. Crest Shield is one of the 3 Crest Shields. The others being the Grass Crest and the Dragon Crest. Dragon Crest being a very good fire blocking shield, and of course the Grass Crest super useful because of its stamina regen properties. Before jumping down to fight the Stray Demon, we want to get rid of these guys. They will fall in and try and attack you. Like I was saying, the Morning Star has a bleeding effect, and this boss is very susceptible to the bleed status effect. I'm going to hide over here and heal real fast. Much like the first boss of the game, we want to stay real close to him in order to avoid his attacks. The one he won't use very often is, in fact, the Overhead Crush, with just his regular weapon there. This doesn't have any magic damage applied to it, and this is the only time in the entire fight he'll even be using this. This, however, will be a very, very common attack. Magic Explosion. It's telegraphed by him raising his big old mace and slamming it into the ground. Now, if you're standing right next to him, you'll actually be inside the explosion. We'll see what that looks like a little bit later. And keep in mind that blocking this will reduce the damage by 80% since it is magic damage. So you just want to whack at his left leg a few times to try and get the bleeding effect. The butt slam is much like the Asylum Demon. Of course, this guy's a little bit bigger, but that is not really much of a concern. Hold your shield up anyways, because this is a physical attack. It'll block it, 100% physical block. Now, there was a burst of blood right there. We'll see it in a second here once I attack maybe 4 or 5 times. The weapon itself can actually knock you on the head when he's doing the butt slam. Looking for a burst of blood to come out of his left leg will be the telltale sign that we're doing it properly. There it is. So when you see that large burst of blood and you hear the sort of splooshy sound that goes, that means that the bleeding status effect has gone through. The way it works is after beating on this guy a few times, there's sort of an invisible bleed meter, which you can't really see because it's invisible, hence invisible. When it fills up, it'll activate the bleeding effect, which will take off about 10% of his health, maybe 15%. As you can see, the mace itself does very, very little damage, each little attack. But occasionally, you'll just see... Oh, here we go. Oh, okay, back away. Occasionally, you'll see just a large burst of his health bar at the bottom just disappear. This is the main way that you can beat this guy at a lower level or with not as good equipment, as long as you have a bleeding weapon. There we go. Ton of his health just disappeared. He has a few more attacks. Sometimes he'll hop back, in which case you just want to run over to him. I was lucky enough in this version of the fight he stayed right in the middle the whole time, but it is possible for him to back into a corner. There you see what happens when you have to block the magic attack. Now, that is an 80% reduction in damage, so it will outright kill you unless you have tons of health or strong magic defense. So just be wary of that. Keeping the shield up at all times when he's doing his burst is very important. There we go. Here's another one of his attacks. The forward magic explosion. The AoE of this is pretty much in front of him, so it's actually a little bit less dangerous than the slam, and he'll use it more infrequently. Often if he jumps backwards, does a little hop backwards, he'll charge that one up. So in that case, you want to run directly under him, lock on, and keep your shield up, just in case you get hit by the edge of the blast radius. Other than that, it's just a matter of not getting too greedy. The fight is pretty simple when you have a bleeding weapon. The actual damage numbers, as mentioned down there, 19 at a time, is irrelevant, because after 4 or 5 consecutive hits, it'll just take off a whole bunch of his health bar. It is in fact really easy to fight this guy without a shield and also completely naked, you know, if you want to do that. Also at level 1, since really the only thing that's important here is the bleeding effect itself. And since you get a free bleeding weapon in Firelink, there's really no excuse not to use this. If you fight this guy later on, of course you'll have stronger weapons, he'll be a little bit easier to deal with, but since there's other useful things you can get in the Asylum anyways when you come back here, like the Crest Shield, you can also get the Peculiar Doll from the cell you started in, as well as the Rusted Iron Ring if you manage to pick up the Asylum Key and Firelink on the roof of one of the buildings in Firelink. Rusted Iron will let you walk in water fastly. Celeritously? Celeritus. I think that's a word. That seems like a word. I know celerity's a word. Talking to myself now. Victory achieved! That guy's dead. Aside from getting humanity and souls like any boss, this guy will always drop a Titanite slab. This is your most reliable way in each playthrough to get a Titanite slab. So long, Boss Slayer. See you next time.